Hello and welcome to Indie Comic Ninja, Indie Tuesdays. I'm your host, Ben Dupé.
I'm Andrew Southern.
Ramondo Burnside.
Dexter Jacobs.
And we are your comic book ninjas. How you guys doing this week?
Awesome.
Good, man.
Yeah?
Sassy and ready.
Yeah?
I'm feeling fat and sassy.
Ooh. Didn't say that.
Too much dairy, if you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. That was a conversation before the start.
Yeah. That's gonna sound weird to
everybody
people listening to everyone except for the three of us.
Like,
that
are
were
these
just-
guys lactose intolerant?
Yeah.
It's the lactose show?
I refuse to look into that.
No. Okay.
Rather be playing Zelda Breath of the Wild right now because it's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
It looks really fun.
So, any of you guys get the Switch?
I did. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's right there.
sweet.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Ariel.
She's
Oh,
playing
you're
it
playing
right
right
now.
now.
She's rubbing it in right now. Look at her face. Look at her. Happy,
Yeah,
excited.
she looks. There's a huge.
We
Smile
could
on her
all
face
be
right
like
now.
that, but we're not.
Look at that
She,
bliss.
the funny thing is, she never plays video games. Like, she'll watch me play a game, but she'll never pick one up. So,
So this is the first one they got their hooks in it. And
I-
her.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
a long time. Yeah, like years and years.
I'll use that to convince my wife to buy one.
Yeah, yeah.
I love that they have like the mobile capability.
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
think that super helps.
Oh, for
I mean,
sure.
it's like having a Game Boy kind of again, you know?
Or
Yeah.
it looks more like a Game Gear though.
Yeah,
But hopefully the battery's better.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah, man. Actually, the battery life is pretty good. It's like 4 hours.
That's
you
not
play
bad.
it, and
That's not bad.
Yeah,
Well,
and you have a mobile
And it's
charger.
rechargeable.
Yeah.
Whereas the Game Gear lasted an hour and it took AAA.
Yeah.
Oh, and not just AAA. It took like 8 of them. bad
Yeah, a whole
boys.
package.
Like, yeah, you took a whole pack. Your dad's just mad. Like, where'd all my batteries go? At least my dad was.
No,
Yeah,
that-
that's insane.
Christmas Day that my brother got a Game Gear, my dad was pretty pissed by the end of the day. So you have to go buy more batteries? Yeah.
Yeah. Forget that.
Anyway.
So,
The Game Gear Podcast.
so I feel like as Indie Comic Ninja, we're kind of obligated to talk about something here. A ninja.
Indie comics?
No, it's more on the ninja side of things. Iron Fist.
Oh yeah,
I've
Fuck
not
yeah.
seen it.
It's
Yeah.
good.
I just started.
Yeah?
I've seen 2 episodes.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
slow start. It's a slow burn, but
Yeah.
it gets good around episode 3 or 4.
Ramondo and Ben, you're the only 2 people I've heard say good things about it.
Well, I like it a lot so
I'm-
far.
I have 1 episode left.
Okay.
Oh,
And-
wow.
And you
Yep.
still give it high.
Oh, I love
You've
it,
been
man.
crushing it. Did you
Yeah.
start like 11 p.m. on Friday night? Or
You know,
Friday
it's funny.
morning or
I started
whatever?
working nights. I work 4:30 to midnight or 12:30, and so I woke up Friday morning and we watched some before work, and and then I watched the rest of it yesterday, like
Okay.
before and after podcasting. I'll probably finish watching it after you guys
Holy
leave.
Yeah.
So,
shit.
And
yeah.
I've heard a lot of people on Twitter too just blasting it too, Dex.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I haven't seen like anybody give any reasons. I just hear a lot of like
the reasons that I've heard is because it's been what's described as soap opera acting and being filmed as if it were an 8th grade film project.
Okay, so
wow.
I'll
That's precisely what I've heard.
I'll sort of speak to some of those.
Yeah.
The acting is very cardboard in the first few episodes. Like it's the brother and sister. They don't come off very
and
good.
I would say it's more those 2 and the dad. Like
Yeah.
that family has more of like the we hear so much from them, right?
Well,
So,
and,
like,
they're just like your standard, like uptight white people from the Hamptons vibe. Like
Totally.
I don't know, like it's
Totally.
like they're
and
they're just
Manhattan.
like
So is that cardboard
New
on
York.
purpose?
No, I'd
maybe?
say, like-
and that's what I thought. I was like, well,
Yeah.
this is just a style. Like you want to feel like very closed off from these people, like,
right.
well, yeah, they're just uncomfortable.
They want you to not like them.
like
Trust
I'm
me.
just saying, like rich
okay.
people with sticks up their asses,
Yeah,
kind of is
totally.
what they act like. So like but actually they come out of their shells like after the first few episodes, man, and they shine.
I'd agree
man.
with that.
Yeah.
I'm
How
on
far are you?
episode.
in?
I think I'm on episode 4. Or
Okay.
no, or we just finished 4. Put it this way: this won't spoil anything, but it'll let you know where I'm at. He followed someone, figured out where they were, climbed something, and got pushed off. There.
Yeah,
How's
yeah.
that sound?
Yeah.
Thanks for ruining
There you
it.
go.
I'm never
Damn it,
gonna
he
watch
got
it
pushed
now.
off.
Nobody knows what I'm talking about, but you know
Pushed
what I'm
off-
talking about.
Pushed
Yeah.
off what?
Yeah,
I
Andrew
haven't
Southern.
seen it yet. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
yet. But I will. I'm gonna be like, damn it, Mondo. I know what happens here.
So, episode 6 is where it really picked up.
Okay.
That was
I'm
the
right
most.
there.
That was like the most comic booky episode. And
Good. I'm waiting for
man, after that, it's
Oh.
so comic booky and
Yeah.
like it gets.
But how much?
There's like this weird like drunk ninja who acts like Jack Sparrow in it.
Nice.
It's like I don't know. It's
drunken
great.
master.
It totally
Yeah.
made me want to learn kung fu though. After watching
I know,
it, I was
me
just
too,
like,
right?
dude, I
Well,
want to go
it's-
do flips.
It's
now.
funny they
harness
bring
my
that up
chi.
because, like, what I've also the other thing that I heard is that there's not nearly enough kung fu for what Iron Fist is.
Later in the
See,
Well,
Yeah.
and that's from a guy. No, that's from a guy that binged it in one sitting. Like I know a guy who watched the entire thing in one day, and he said that like there's not enough kung fu.
I think
and I gotta say, like, here's another thing too: is that people have come so accustomed to comic book movies because we're like in the golden age of
Well,
comic book movies. That It's
and
like,
Daredevil
dude, we're
was
getting an Iron
fantastic.
Fist right now. Like, this is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
and
No, yeah.
like for someone like me, I don't know a ton of the history of Iron Fist, so I went in pretty just like,
Yeah.
well,
Whatever.
tell me a
And
story.
and that probably helped a lot.
So you
yeah.
probably
Yeah.
were better off. Same with me. I think also the issue with some of these Marvel TV shows is that since they are shows, they're going to be a lot shorter. Not shorter. What I'm trying to say. They're going to be a lot slower to
Right.
get to what you really want to see. Unlike a Marvel movie where they're going to just give it to you like, boom, here it is now.
Well, like here's the montage.
Watch them kick
now
some
let's
ass.
fight.
Yeah.
It's a slow burn.
The Marvel Netflix formula is like because Marvel movies has a formula.
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
mean, they're all. You're essentially watching the same movie every time. It's just
Yeah,
sort
just
of
different character.
different characters and scenarios. But the Marvel Netflix formula is that same thing where it's like a very dark setting, a very slow burn.
Yeah.
You're waiting on something the entire season, and you generally get it right at the very end.
Yeah.
Daredevil
and here-
doesn't get
here's
his
an-
uniform till the
he-
last minute.
Well, here's another
And
thing
then
too.
season 2, it starts off better. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Well, and
But-
I've been watching this with my wife too, and the thing that she said that I think like really hits with me with it anyway, in terms of like criticism, I guess, would be that the characters aren't very likable in the beginning. Like even the main character, he's just kind of like
Yeah.
like whacked out a little bit.
Dude, I fucking
Whereas,
hate
like,
him.
he was annoying
Yeah.
me
like,
so bad. in the
after
beginning.
11 episodes, dude, he's a whiny, arrogant, fucking. I hate him. I
I don't hate
that
him
character.
yet. I don't hate him yet, but
I
he's
don't know.
annoying though.
I'm not.
Ariel,
I'm
do
not
you
there
hate
yet.
him in the show?
But
Really?
you know, like with Luke,
Ariel doesn't hate anybody.
with Luke Cage
Yeah,
and
she does.
with Luke Cage and
Nova.
Daredevil, like
Oh,
you like all those
I
characters,
get
you
that.
know. So
Yeah.
so it's just harder to grab a hold of somebody and care about them and what happens to them and their story, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I have a really hard time watching a show if I can't find like one person to like because
Yeah.
I could not watch Battlestar Galactica because I could not
Yeah.
relate to anybody on that show. But anyway,
I've never tried.
Makes sense.
Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah,
I
I've
hear
never
it's
tried to watch it.
fantastic,
Yeah, I've
but
heard great
I couldn't
things.
get past like the 5th episode.
You just stopped.
Yeah.
it's that emotional connection, man.
I just couldn't make
that's
it,
What,
yeah.
that's
so
what does it.
Star rating. So, all right, how many episodes you've watched, and then your star rating thus far, Mondo?
I've watched 4 episodes, and out of 10 stars, I would probably give it an 8.
8 stars.
That's good.
I'll give it an 8. It's holding my attention. Even my wife, who doesn't like any kind of like comic book stuff. I mean, she does, but she's not like us.
Yeah.
She'll watch stuff. She'll go to like Avengers and all that stuff, and she loves it. But she's not a nerd for it in the other sense, where she's going to dig out information of it later and retain it and recite who's who and all that stuff. She doesn't give a shit about that.
I'm probably at a 7 right now. I'm only 2 episodes in, but it has a different feel. Like, well, although okay, so when I was first watching it, I'm like, is this just Arrow? Like, is this just
Yeah.
Arrow with different powers? Because it's such a
He
funny.
looks
like,
a lot like
That's how I
like
described
Oliver
him to my
Queen-
wife.
Steven, what's his name?
Emil.
Stephen
yeah.
Amell.
Stephen Amell,
Yeah,
yeah.
he with his hood up, he looks a lot like Stephen
Yeah.
Amell in the show.
That's
so.
how
Yeah.
that's how I sold it to my wife.
Well, the
'cause she
whole
was like, "What are we
synopsis
watching?"
is exactly the same.
Yeah, she's like, so what are you watching? I was like, well, basically, he's like Tony Stark or
Like
the
Arrow.
Arrow.
yeah.
He's a rich
Yeah.
playboy, and then da-da-da-da.
Well, yeah,
So I explained it.
even Iron Man is the same as Arrow.
Batman.
he's
I mean,
older.
it's the same.
Yeah,
And then
like-
Bruce
Batman's
Wayne.
younger.
I use Bruce Wayne as well. It's like he's one of those guys who's a lot of money, and this is just his
Yeah, awesome.
his
Yeah.
trope.
yeah, but
know.
I have a really great idea for a comic that I really think we should all write together.
is it a rich playboy?
There's a rich
Learns
guy.
kung fu?
He can be a playboy, sure.
Has some personality defects.
And he learns Tai Chi.
I love it.
Yeah.
Let's write it. Oh my gosh.
And
Why are we
it's-
putting
and
this on
it's-
the air? We have to edit this out.
And it's different because it's Tai Chi and not Kung Fu.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's the edge.
But it's not the
has.
violent
That's-
form of Tai Chi. It's,
Right.
It's the really mellow, meditative kind.
Yeah.
Playing mind games with you.
And
I'm,
and he actually learns magic. No, that's getting way too Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're just gonna. It's a melting pot of all the Marvel movies.
So Ben, what's your score?
I am. I think I'm 11 episodes in or 10 episodes.
Oh, I thought you were gonna
in.
say 11 stars.
Oh, Jesus!
Oh,
Not
no.
that good, is it?
No. I
Okay, anyway,
I think a 7 out of 10 probably.
Yeah.
Because
And
there's
I'm-
13 episodes, right?
Yeah, 13.
It by no means deserves an 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, and actually it's
Oh wow.
It's kind of-
I didn't realize it was
that's
that bad.
I mean, that's
it's kind of astounding because 11%
I think I
on
heard it was
Rotten
better, yeah,
Tomatoes,
but that's-
and last I checked, this was a day or two ago, but
I'm checking now.
and then on IMDb it has an 8.5 out of 10.
Are you fucking shitting
So it's
me?
like kind of a crazy.
Yeah.
Well,
I-
and
I
I think
think-
part of it was the reason that it got such low scores at the beginning was they released the first 6 episodes to reviewers early, so that's all they watched was the first 6 episodes.
wow.
So a lot of those reviews are based on half of the show.
plus, dude, like
this is why I hate the internet. I hate it. That's why I hate it, man. It's so
we broke
stupid.
down, like, Mary and I, my wife, we talked about like what different social media applications are for, and we decided that Twitter is just for talking trash, Facebook is to share horrible stories or post about children, and then Instagram is to post about the life that you don't have, like vacation photos and
Hopefully
stuff.
not.
What about
Stories
Donald Trump?
children.
He's in
You
there
pretty
somewhere.
much did it all.
I
He's on
would
all
call
of them.
Twitter that mostly.
Oh,
What about
Facebook too,
Snapchat?
yeah.
What about
And
Snapchat? What do you got for me for Snapchat?
See, I'm not
Dick
a
pics.
Snapchatter.
Dick
Yeah, I was gonna say Snapchat
I
only
haven't
has
seen-
one purpose.
I
as
haven't
far
seen
as I
one. I haven't
understand.
seen one dick. I mean,
I'm
I
just
might,
saying.
I might sound like I'm complaining because
You're not-
maybe
you're not
I am.
following- you're not
Maybe I
following the
am,
right
guys.
people,
Dude, you're
man.
doing it all wrong.
Maybe I am
Mondo.
complaining. I
I'm
haven't
just
seen a
saying,
dick.
You need better friends.
Fuck you guys.
If you show
Like, Ben sends me one every day, like for the past week. I don't
Ben's
know
like,
where
you have
you're
not
at.
been getting my dick pics? Ben's all looking at me like, have
gotta
you not been
gotta
getting
update
them?
my preferences, man.
That's
I
part
think-
of our Patreon, by the way. You know,
wow.
if you
one
get on our
day-
Snapchat.
What have I
No.
done? I'm so
We
sorry.
just,
Sorry,
we just
patrons.
lost
Sorry.
patrons.
Rotten Tomatoes
guys.
is at 16%.
Oh yeah.
No, but here's the
okay.
thing, dude. Like, people just start getting on that hate train. I feel like a little bit. Like, you get a friend who's like,
That's what I'm saying.
"Meh, meh, meh," you know, and
Well-
it's just kind of like I came to it with an open mind, even seeing that. And when you compare it to Jessica Jones or Luke Cage or Daredevil, like me personally, I'm not into that story as much. So I like those other ones quite a bit more. But it doesn't mean this is a bad story.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm still enjoying
Well,
it.
and the interesting thing on Rotten Tomatoes is 16% is the critics score. The audience score is 87.
Yeah.
See,
I've never listened to
Something's
those
wrong.
are the
there.
caveats you got to
Yeah.
bring up, though.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
and that's.
I never understood those critics ratings on anything, man. Like I
Yeah.
don't.
Well, people
who
got
is this? Like
people have to understand that critics they consume stuff differently than us.
Yeah,
if a
yeah,
critic
yeah.
consumes it, we consume it with our mouths. Critics consume everything with their asses. Okay,
Hey, that's the fastest way to get drunk.
they're
Didn't work when I tried it, man.
Well, I've never tried it. I just heard. I've only heard. I don't-
reverse the.
I don't
flow.
But you know what I
There's
mean?
like
Like
South Park
they're
about
entering, they're entering the situation to pick something apart.
Yeah.
Where we, as consumers, we just want something that's good. We're not looking at it the same way. I'm not looking at it to watch it for the cinematography or to just to see how good the acting is. Does it hold my interest long enough for me to want to watch more
Yeah.
episodes?
But the thing is
Simple.
yeah.
Rotten Tomatoes has lost credibility over
Oh,
the
hell
last
yeah.
year. I mean, because
Yeah.
Batman v Superman, yes, it was a bad film. I don't. And Rotten Tomatoes, by the Rotten Tomatoes.
I was expecting you to say it was a good film, and
No,
I was getting
no.
ready.
No, yeah, I know you're gearing up. No, Rotten Tomatoes doesn't really review anything either. They gather all the
Yeah, yeah,
reviews
yeah.
and put it out into a percent. But yeah, they gave Batman v Superman like 32%. I think
yeah.
user score was maybe a little higher. It was like
63.
63. So, and I
Yeah.
think that's probably
sounds a little more accurate.
that's a more accurate.
like it wasn't
rating.
great, but it wasn't like
It wasn't
the most
it
trashy
wasn't
movie
below
you've ever
50%.
seen.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a 30%. So they have a tendency to give things like either really high or really low. There's no
Yeah.
in
No
between.
in-between on that.
Yeah. So and that may be just the critics talking. That I don't know.
Yeah.
I think half of that too was the fact that yes, the movie wasn't that great, but also you have Marvel who had already set the pillars for these type of movies, and they set that fucking bar high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you bring in these guys, and all of a sudden, DC didn't quite hit it out of the park, and everyone's like, oh, and it just fell the way it fell. Had they come out back with this movie, back when maybe like the first maybe the second Iron Man came out around when DC was
Yeah.
just getting started with like its phase 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Maybe it wouldn't have gone that way, but you just got Civil War.
Yep.
Yeah, like and
You know what I
you're
mean?
comparing
Yeah.
to that.
You coming off some hot stuff
See,
here.
and that's
Yeah,
not,
and
that's
that's
not
that's the Iron Fist thing too.
totally
It's
like what if Iron Fist was the first to release before Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage? Like you're
Yeah.
gonna look at it and be like, dude, this
Nothing to
is
compare it to.
great. Yeah.
Well, and that's interesting too because describing the acting as cardboard, it using that phrase reminded me of the first time I ever heard about now I can't think what it's called, Firefly. It was described to me as cardboard acting.
Yeah, I didn't like that show.
And
either.
yet,
I
fantastic show
enjoyed
in my
Firefly.
opinion.
I loved
But I mean, but the thing is it's been described to me as cardboard acting, but it's such a huge people just love it.
yeah.
And so that clearly that's not that big of a problem.
It's a cult show for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've tried to get into it. Sorry, I'm choking on that pizza here. I've
Don't
tried
die.
to get into it, and the acting did kind of bug me at
Yeah.
first. But it's been something that I've really wanted to
watch the
give it a
movie.
second shot.
The
because
movie covers
Serenity.
a lot of the show and then has an
Okay.
ending.
I didn't
So-
even know there was a movie. So
Yeah, it's called
Serenity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So
Check it out.
So let's talk comics.
Yeah.
let's do
Let's do it.
We're covering 2 comics and 1 graphic novel this week, and I think from here on out on this show, just for the sake of people's personal lives and time, we're gonna do three. I'm gonna draw a line in the sand here, and three issues and 1 graphic novel
Yeah.
tops. That's a lot for someone to read in a week that's
Yeah.
not running.
especially if we're
you
doing
know,
a graphic novel.
Yeah, like
And then-
1 graphic novel a week is a
That's
lot.
like 2 books
and,
right there.
Yeah, so 3 books.
It's actually like 5,
3.
isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
roughly,
And actually,
yeah.
you
Four,
know,
yeah.
I'm-
Yeah, 4, right? That's
I
my
kind of
somewhere between 3 and 5.
Let's look at the numbers. Yeah,
I fell behind this week because I did not finish. I didn't even get through the first quarter of American Gods. It just didn't really.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't really captivate
Yeah,
me.
that was the Dark Horse one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
same
did,
here.
I did.
Oh.
What the hell? Like,
I
no,
did-
I looked at this and I was like,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
I cut you off. Go
I
ahead,
didn't.
man.
I didn't like the art.
Oh, the
way.
art is difficult.
It was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Like
Well-
how
I couldn't.
I'm
Hey,
at a
should we save it
loss.
for the conversation about, or do we want to just jump in and talk
Let's just
about
jump
it, I
in
guess?
right now.
Yeah,
Why not?
and
Since
we
we
don't
started.
we don't have to hard recap it. We
Right.
just say what it's about.
Well,
roughly, because we don't need to go spoiling
I
for
can,
people.
yeah, I can maybe do a quick talk about it because
Yeah.
I wanted to read it because I read the book because it was a novel back in high school. So this is like in 2003. I think I was like a junior. So so I was really looking forward to it. This is something that has been kind of a long time coming, and I think there's a movie coming out too.
TV show, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, basically what it is there's a guy named Shadow, and he gets out of prison, and he's let out early because his wife dies. And then he runs into a bunch of hijinks with all the old gods that came over to America with all the immigrants. So in this whole story, the gods are real. And they didn't really get into it quite yet in the comic, I suppose. So, but in the book, there are the old gods and the new gods, and they're at war. That's basically what the whole book is about. And Shadow gets taken up by Odin, but the thing to remember is it's the American version of these gods. So,
No, okay.
so this is the Odin that came over with the immigrants, but there's still the Odin back in wherever
Like Norse,
the
right?
Norse Odin. It's like a separate being. And so. It's basically like Odin is just a big con man, and he's trying to like rally up the troops to go to war with the new gods, which are internet gluttony, and just kind of like all of the new things that we more or less worship.
Yeah.
And Shadow is just kind of picked up by Odin, and I don't want to. There's a ton of spoilers that I'm really struggling not to reveal, but
Right.
But the interesting thing, like at the end, then too, is he goes over to wherever the Norse Odin is from. I can't remember. I'm horrible with that kind of stuff. But and he actually meets the real Odin at the end of the book, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and I heard there was a pretty graphic part at the end of the book.
The end of the comic. Okay, so that's the
Okay.
novel that I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay,
Yeah.
cool,
So
cool.
the end of the comic, to explain, so the graphic portion is there's a guy who gets a hooker.
Yeah.
Let's say that. So she turns out she basically consumes the dude through her genitals.
Yeah.
To explain that a little bit more, she is the god that Easter, the original holiday of Easter, worshipped her.
Easter
so
Bunny.
she is Easter. What? Yeah. I
We
suppose.
all remember those Sunday mornings sitting around
Well,
the Easter
If you're not a good
baskets
person,
and-
you will get
and
swallowed up by a
hearing
vagina.
mom and
Yeah.
dad
Yep.
talk about the
I mean,
vagina-eating
hey,
monster.
that's scary enough for most people.
The thing about that
I don't
is,
know about
so back in the day, like back a long time ago, Catholicism kind of overtook a lot of like the whatever culty like
Yeah,
the witch
there's
religion.
a pagan.
The pagan religion.
Yeah,
That's the word I was
there's
looking
a
for.
pagan religion about was it
It's
fertility? And
yeah,
springtime.
yeah. Well, and I mean, so Easter was like the fertility springtime thing. Christmas was
it was the winter solstice. Or
yeah,
solstice,
but
there's
it was like worshiping another god.
So how
like
did-
all the major Christian religions are based on pagan holidays.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
they're
they overcame pagan holidays. It
yeah,
was to
they're
replace
just like
them.
we're going to replace these holidays with our own holidays
Right.
that represent these.
and so
How
that's
does this tie in though? Because like I remember reading the book, it gets to the
And
end,
that's what I was
they're taking
so
a piss,
confused about.
and then all of a sudden, boom!
Yeah,
there's
well,
a chick laying here with her shirt off and stuff. I was
Yeah.
like, whoa!
That's how the
is this a
novel-
different book or did I?
it works in because they'll meet up with her later. So
Okay, so this is part of the story still.
yeah.
Okay, that's
So she's one of the old gods that Odin will eventually try to recruit later.
It's like lust or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Well, no. She's Easter.
Or Easter.
She's the old god. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the dude in the comic, there's an old man who's like trying to get Shadow to like work for him. That's Odin.
Oh, okay.
And so yeah, he's mostly just trying to hire Shadow to be his muscle.
Yeah.
Then they're going to travel across America and finding all the different old gods, and like because eventually like they'll go to Cairo, Illinois, Indiana. I don't remember. Somewhere in the Midwest, there's a city called Cairo, and there are 2 Egyptian gods who live there. And so they try to recruit them, and then they end up on the house on the rock up in wherever that is. And that's like the epicenter of like for where all the old gods kind of like go to meet and stuff.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And was the book and the comic written by the same?
Neil Gaiman wrote the book, but the comic it's got
Still
who
written by Neil Gaiman, but
Well,
it's actually scripted by
I think they just
someone else.
they took the book, the novel,
Adapted it.
and so it's adapted by another group or two or
Okay.
a guy or it's a dude.
Neil
and
Gaiman
also-
still has writing credits on it. It's
Yeah.
just,
Probably,
I
like,
don't
edited
even
or
know
something,
who.
maybe.
Yeah, hold on, I got it here.
I will
so-
say this about it though. I didn't like the art. I think we all can agree on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Totally fine. Wasn't for me. But the story, like going into the first couple panels, if I can be honest, I was like, I don't think this is going to hold my
It had a
interest.
slow start, honestly.
Yeah, like this is
Yeah.
not going to hold my interest. And then it hooked me with how they were describing things and
Yeah.
explaining what he was thinking
Yeah.
about him. And that kind of started to pull me in. And then I actually gave a shit when they were like, okay, can I spoil? Can I say?
Yeah, sure.
Spoil a little
Go
bit.
for it.
So then he's all because what they made the impact of his wife dying even bigger because they kept describing all these thoughts he had about it,
Yeah.
how he wants to see her and hold her again and all this
because
stuff.
he's in
and-
jail at this time.
Yeah,
too.
yeah,
So
yeah. And
this
all
is
the-
like the only thing he's looking forward to.
Yeah, all the
Like
shit he's
the 2 years
experienced
he's
and
been
stuff.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so they kind of paint this picture and they build it up for you and then they take it away.
Yeah.
And it gave it more weight and I was like, oh shit, okay, this is kind of getting real. I'm invested. I
Yeah.
still don't like the art, but the story is taking
And-
me somewhere.
And like Neil
Okay.
Gaiman has written another short story at least about this guy. Like he seems to like this character, and he always kind of is like. And I think it kind of goes back to the way he got out of prison and his wife died like that. Like he kind of just like lived to be her husband kind of thing.
Sure.
And then with her dying, like he just kind of doesn't care about life anymore. But he's like still a good guy.
Yeah, and that was the thing. Even in jail, he seemed so.
Yeah.
They didn't say what he did, but he just accepted. Like I'm
was
here. I was
robbery.
convicted.
It was- yeah,
Is
he-
that what
Armed,
it
I think
was?
he
armed
was-
robbery.
Yeah,
is what it was.
I don't really remember in the book. I think it dives into it a little
Okay.
bit more. But yeah,
But like I remember just from the first few pages of the comic, he's just like, I'm here, I've accepted it.
Yeah.
Like all you can do is just move on. And like he doesn't get into any trouble. He's just
Yeah.
like, okay,
Just keep
I made
walking.
a mistake and I'm just gonna
He's a model
be-
inmate.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna keep
because
my
I think
head
he
down.
had 6 years and he got out in 2.
Yeah.
Oh,
true.
is that
Something
what
like
it was?
I think that's what they
Yeah.
said. Something like that. Yeah, it was a severely reduced sentence.
Yeah.
Weird use of words, choice of words, severely reduced. But yeah, it was. So
I will say, I guess I'm a little frustrated with Dark Horse on this just because they didn't put a mature rating on it. So
Yeah.
any kid could walk into a comic shop and pick this up.
Wow, they didn't do that.
And
Do-
that's
Yeah.
really.
Do they
I mean,
just-
and there's
to me,
language
like-
in there too.
do they not
yeah.
do
You know what I
ratings?
mean?
Does Dark Horse not rate their comics?
I think everyone's supposed to like do
Oh.
like 13 and up. mature readers only. I mean, that's,
Well,
I don't know if it's a rule.
Have you seen the print copy? I guess I'm wondering if the PDF just doesn't have that on.
I've heard other podcasts
Complain
that are
about it.
talking about the print copy and how it doesn't have that on it. So it's just like it's more of just like a
Yeah, that is a bit of an oversight.
Because
Yeah.
visually, I mean, it doesn't show anything bad until you get to the end where the
Yeah, but that
with
very
the
last part
prostitute.
is-
It's pretty bad.
Because
Yeah.
it caught me off
Graphic.
guard. It's like, oh, she's
Yeah.
laying there with no clothes
Yeah.
on, breasts out and stuff like that. And then also there's language. I mean, there's that security guard or whatever that's walking with him, and he drops like the N-bomb on him a couple times.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like, ooh,
stuff you wouldn't want your kid walking into a comic shop.
Yeah.
right.
Or even like a 12-year-old or something. Like that's just not
Yeah.
something you
Yeah.
would want.
just
Right.
something to be aware of. I mean, it's part of
Yeah.
it's part of the story, and they're basically just showing
And
how
there's
such
gonna-
a dick this guy was. But
And if
you
this
know.
follows the book, there's going to be more of that.
right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know,
So let's talk star ratings.
Having read the book, and I don't know, I would give it a 7.
So, oh wow, okay,
And
sure.
Higher than
it's
I thought you
most
would say.
okay. Well, really, the reason why I rated it a little higher because I like the story and I know where it's going. But then also like what really tears it down is the art, which I got used to by the end. But then just specifically this issue really lagged at the beginning. Like they spent a ton of time with him in prison. There's like it was actually probably over half the book. I'm not really sure,
Yeah.
but it was just kind of too long. And I feel like they're maybe adapting it a little too verbatim from the novel.
Yeah.
And a comic should flow a little bit faster, I feel like, than a novel should.
Yeah, it really should. And I don't know. Let's talk about the art for a second. So like this is something common that indie comics struggle with, and I think like
Oh, but this is Dark Horse. I don't know.
This is Dark Horse and Neil Gaiman, right? Like this is
okay,
like
yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm just saying like. Okay, so with comic books, it's like anything else. You're trading one thing for another when you switch to publishers. So when you jump over to DC, you're kind of trading some good storytelling for some really astounding artwork and cool stuff that goes along with superheroes. With indie comics, maybe you're sacrificing some artwork sometimes and getting a better
different
story
story,
than you
yeah.
would in a DC.
Yeah,
book.
so like maybe they spent all their money on Neil Gaiman and like the
Yeah.
rights to tell this story.
Well,
or
and
something.
I'm wondering if too. Like I really wonder how much Dark Horse, because I don't really know a ton about how they put books together. Like if they find the illustrators for the writers or not, and if maybe they had a contract that they just wanted to obligate. I don't know.
Also, the covers are way better than
The covers.
Yeah, the covers are amazing.
Well,
So-
and that was kind of weird too, because like on the cover, like the official, like the whatever,
Yeah.
the normal cover, I guess it's like this giant like
Beast thing.
yeah, and he's
Right.
like barely in the comic.
Yeah.
And I don't
think he shows up.
No,
he's
he
at the very
was
beginning.
when he was
Very-
dreaming,
okay,
right?
yeah.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
plane.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm not sure who that's supposed to be because I don't remember
A name associated with him, or
he's
what?
like a
Really-
buffalo. Like I
really
don't remember
cool
a buffalo
looking, though.
character from the books.
I
but-
feel like you hit it on the head though perfectly by saying that the story is what kept everybody going, at least for
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
And then the art was not my favorite, but by the end of it, I didn't care.
But
as
here's the
much.
thing too.
It didn't
Yeah.
bother me. It wasn't good or bad. It was just like, okay, whatever. I got used to it.
It
Yeah.
looks. The thing that pisses me off about it is that, and good for you. You work for Dark Horse. You're a stud, right? Like, don't listen to me. But like these images to me look completely traced. It looks like traced art, and then at
Yeah.
the end, the style completely changes. Like with the prostitute, like there's no weird like Photoshop rendering that's like almost painterly but not. Like it's just it makes me
it goes
really
into
really
more
mad.
of like a painterly or like
Like a cartoon,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
more of a if the whole book was in that more of a cartoon style, like this
Yeah.
looks more Watchmen like.
that's
Like
weird,
I would be
yeah.
cool with that because it actually like it doesn't look like somebody just slapped a bunch of Photoshop images in and traced them.
I wonder what the reason for that is too, because like I wonder if that was an afterthought throwing that
See,
last scene in.
Or was it
does look very
stylistic?
traced.
Because this is also the first time we encounter the god, right?
No, because that guy is a god. That is. That's
Oh
Odin.
yeah, on the plane.
And there were at least 3 that I can.
And
point out.
here's the thing, like I think tracing can actually help you tell a story. Like if you need some background elements or you
Oh.
need some help with things, but when you just flat out are like tracing elements, it's just it's slop. It's like
major
it's like I don't
elements.
care enough about you to tell this story. It's like if 90% of it's traced, like it's really frustrating as a consumer, as an illustrator. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the credits, they're actually that last scene is apparently subtitled somewhere in America, and it was drawn by 2 people. Or the art was by 2 people, so I guess it doesn't...
Yeah, and that makes sense, because there are some pages that do not look traced, and they do look like
Yeah,
they're genuinely
yeah.
drawn, but then there's other pages that, straight up look traced. And that's, to me, that's like cheating. I almost... Because I'm trying to get to the point where I can draw comic books, and it is...
Yeah.
It's always, like, tempting to, like, okay, I want to take this and throw it in a layer underneath my drawing and see how accurate it is. And I do that after I draw it to see how
that's
I
completely
did.
fine. Like, photo reference is one thing, and that's fine.
Yeah, but
like,
like to stick it like on a bottom layer and then draw your panel over it, just trace over it.
Sure.
You know,
Well,
that's like...
and it's even more, like, with these people's faces, you can see, like, these were just ripped out. Like, there's this guy right here. Like, that's straight, like, it almost looks, this dude...
Okay, yeah.
Like, you can just tell, like, there's no expression on their faces, usually, like, I mean, for me, comics
Some
are a fun medium. Like, take advantage of the fact that you can do whatever you want to do. And, like, when I see, I've also have a problem with some of the artwork in, what was the other Gods one that we're covering?
God Country?
Yeah, and the art's is okay in that, but, like, just, like, expression-wise, like, pose-wise, like, you need to... Even when you're photo referencing, like, I think it's great, it's awesome. You should definitely do it because it's how you get accurate. But, like, you need to go beyond just, like, being exact with the pose and say something about it. Like, have somebody express, have somebody emote, because that's the only thing that we have as readers to, like, identify with what somebody's thinking or feeling. So
When in talking about American comics as a whole, that was like Stan Lee was a big proponent of emoting like massive emotion. So instead of showing someone just kind of mad, you know, show them like banging on a table and be really mad, you know. And
Right.
if you read like drawing comics the Marvel way, and I'm sure it's in the DC book you're reading right now, like they're like, here's a normal pose of somebody standing here, but look how much cooler it looks like when they do this. And that's the problem with like just taking an image and straight up like just copying it or just tracing it, is that you don't get a powerful story that way.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't really emote any type of real emotion.
And the other thing, like with this book, is that like especially in the start, like the way some of the word, like the lettering is, it's like really confusing. At least it was when I was reading it. Just like
took a little getting used to.
Like I think it was the second page. There's a panel, and then there's like some words between panels. Like right
where
in
the
here.
gutters would normally be.
Yeah, like where and there's like words in the gutters,
Right.
and just like for me, visually, like I don't know, it's right in the beginning of the book, you know, like I don't know.
It's setting
I had
the
a lot.
precedence for the rest of how it's going to be laid out.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
So
Yeah. Who else? I was the only one that gave a rating. Anybody else have?
no, Mondo gave a rating.
I didn't give one yet.
Oh, you didn't? What would
I
you rate
did.
it?
I don't know. I'd probably go right somewhere near what Dex did. I'd probably say like a 7,
Wow. Okay.
6.5.
I'm gonna say I was gonna give this a really bad rating.
You
But
still
just-
can, man. 'Cause
Well, just
I enjoyed the story, though.
I mean, that's the thing. Like knowing what that the book is like much more, you know, like where this is gonna go, and that it's a bigger story. I don't know. I'll straight up, I'll give it the fuck you 5. How about that?
Okay, sure, yeah, we'll do fuck you 5.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll give a weird science
The
on
fuck
that one.
you 5.
Yeah, that is a term coined from Weird Science DC Comics
Yeah.
podcast, by the way.
Fuck you 5.
Great DC
Okay.
Comics podcast.
I like it. I'm using it.
Those guys are beasts, man. They record like a 12-hour podcast every week.
yeah.
That's
and,
nuts.
And then on top of that, they also release like bonus episodes and
do you
stuff
have
too.
time?
I don't know. They treat it like a job.
So,
man.
are you going to be close to me as per usual, or did you
I-
veer off the road?
I know, I'm looking at
Let's
I
see.
actually didn't rate. I'm not going to rate it because I didn't read the
Cop
whole.
out.
I didn't read the whole thing, so
Okay.
I don't.
Ben
feel
gives it a
fair.
7 by default. Then
No,
because that's what
yeah,
Mondo
no,
does.
no.
We know that.
Yes.
I would probably. I honestly would go lower than 5 on it as a comic book. I think as a novel, like Neil Gaiman is a very wonderful artist, and he's very good at
Yeah.
writing stories.
It's an award-winning novel. It says on the cover of this.
Yeah.
Good for them. But
Yeah.
storyboarding wise and transferred to a different medium. I mean, like I don't know. It's just like I'm trying to think of a book that the book was amazing, but the movie was god awful.
Take your pick. I mean,
I'm sure.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah, the movie was awesome.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, come on, whatever.
my
man.
wife hates that movie. By the
Dude,
way,
it was
I don't
so
know why.
campy
The book
and
is
awesome.
phenomenal.
If I watch that movie, she gets so mad at me.
It's
She's
so
like, turn
good.
it. I'm like,
It's
why?
hilarious, man.
What do you
oh
got
my
against
God.
this movie?
No, but it's just like a different medium. So
Yeah.
I mean, the book was great, but and that's no reflection
Yeah.
on Neil Gaiman. It's a reflection
No, yeah.
on the writer of the script of the comic and the storyboarders. They just didn't transfer it over to a new medium very well. They didn't create a good like movie, so to speak, out of this or comic.
It's the first issue too, so I'm hoping. I mean,
Yeah.
Dex, you've read more, so you know
Yeah.
you have an idea. But I feel like it's going somewhere. But
Yeah.
with the art and just where this one took me is just like,
I can't imagine Neil Gaiman's too
6.5.
thrilled about this.
He can't be, man.
Because
Like-
the artwork on Sandman is astounding. It's so good. And,
I gotta
mean,
borrow that from you still
Oh,
sometime.
it's fantastic. It's one of the best comic books I've ever read.
Yeah, I've
as far
heard
as
that a
comics
lot.
go. So
Nice.
he knows what good comic art looks like. He knows what it's like to have his story, transferred to a really good comic. So I can't imagine this.
Well, and
is
he's won
pleasing
awards
for
for
him.
Sandman.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like
So-
this could be just one last thing. It's just like when directors direct movies. I mean, there's
Yeah.
really good directors that have made a couple of bad movies here and there,
Yeah.
and that's not necessarily a reflection on them. It could be the team that they had around them that just couldn't bring that vision to life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's gonna happen once in a while, even with a great writer or great illustrators.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't realize. Oh, Vertigo did Sandman, right? Yeah.
Yeah, DC Vertigo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, all right, we'll move on. Let's do God Country number 3. So the story's about just a dude that was gifted sort of this sword. This sword kind of it is all swords in one. It has a personality, and it is connected to all blades that exist in all dimensions. And this old man with Alzheimer's was gifted this sword for some reason, or found this sword for some reason, and this took away his Alzheimer's disease. And where the conflict comes into play is where another god is basically trying to bully him into giving it back. So these people are sitting out in the country right now. This old man with the god sword and his family, and they're basically about to be attacked, Legion style, by all these gods, and they're out in the country. So that's the title, God Country. So in this issue, we just get a little more of that. Basically, it's just more of him, him being out there with his family, them reacting to the fact of like how fucking crazy this whole situation is.
Yeah.
And then being attacked by gods, and at the end, the little girl gets kidnapped by a god or a demon or something of the
It's
sort.
the youngest son of the highest god. So
Okay.
it's the brother of the god of war that came earlier.
Yeah. So the artwork, Andrew, I know you mentioned kind of not digging it, or maybe it having some traced elements. I don't know. I there were certain parts that bothered me logistically. A couple things to consider about that, though. I think as a whole, the art is fantastic. I think as a book, the art is really good. When you're under a deadline and you have to produce 28 pages in a month or two,
yeah.
you can't focus on every little panel. There have to be points where you're just like, okay, this obviously, like if this was a commission piece, I would sit here and perfect this all day, but I got to move on to another page because I have a deadline to meet. I think that being said, as a whole, the artwork's really, really strong.
No, it is, and there's enough artistry in this that it's not I don't know. There's enough characterization and storytelling in the artwork that I don't have a problem with it. It's just it's not my favorite stylistically. Kind of I don't know. I think it's the watercolory effect mixed with just it's very grungy.
Yeah.
Very textural.
and kind of noirish, in some of these.
Which is weird because it's not a very noir story.
Yeah. And I don't know if they're just trying to set the mood in terms of they're about to get attacked by these weird god things.
Well, noir is this term that I hear, and I guess
really,
I
it
hear
means
it
gritty
defined by
detective
different
story,
people.
is what I think.
It literally means black in French, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
yeah.
it's basically just when you have deep shadows and things.
Dark and
think Sin City,
classic.
that's
Yeah.
probably your classic noir, right?
Yeah.
Where it's very, very graphic blacks.
And you wouldn't say this would be a noir type story?
Well, a noir type story, I usually
Be
think
like a
of,
detective.
I usually think of like a detective story, but like a very like gritty, like
Crime
basically.
story.
I mean, because Sin City is a very classic noir, even by the story itself is very classic.
Hell,
noir.
there's even a game on Xbox 360 called L.A. Noir.
Yeah.
Where you literally play a detective that's trying to take down, trying to figure out stuff. It's pretty.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Cool.
And that type of artwork, like when you really want to make something feel creepy or gritty, I guess you use the kind of those deep blacks. And I'm wondering if that's why they went for that style in this one. I can't remember what the other ones looked like though.
Yeah. Well,
like usually that carries through if you're going to tell a noir story. But.
Well, and in this issue, like it is nighttime. It's kind of like in a lull. Like they just got off the conversation with the god of war, and the old man just basically declared war, and so they're kind of like in this lull before the war really starts, and then. And then, like I said, it's nighttime, and then at the end, they get attacked by like this god
Like
of
hundreds.
the underworld kind of thing.
Yeah, like
because there's like zombies attacking.
Yeah,
them,
like hundreds of zombies show up.
and so like they're kind of setting the mood maybe for that attack.
Now he's gonna leave, obviously, because
he has to go.
He has to get his
hell.
granddaughter back. So this is gonna get darker. Hence, maybe where the noir comes in. As far as the story taking more of a darker turn and being in that vein, I think that we just haven't gotten to it just yet.
Yeah.
He's just hanging out in the country, and these little events are happening.
And
Now it's about to blow up and kick off, maybe.
Yeah,
Sure.
And I gotta say, I was getting like really like, where is this going with those first two issues? It's just like they're just hanging out in Texas, like what's gonna happen?
He's like eating peaches on the porch with his sword.
And so now that he has to go on like this quest, like I'm actually looking forward to the rest of this story for sure.
I think it was important for us to take a breather on this issue because we got some character development that was needed
sure,
because there was a lot of action in the first part of the first two issues of this book. A lot happened, and especially considering it's 28 pages or so per book. I don't know, 30 something like that, but. So it's good to take a step back and just let people talk amongst themselves, let people watch, let viewers watch the characters talk amongst themselves and get to know these people and grow attached to them and stuff that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like the moment where the little girl and the grandpa are talking and the sword has a personality and that kind of comes into
Just
play.
scares the crap out of her.
Yeah,
that's
and
pretty funny.
that makes you attached to this family, and then when they yank the little girl away, then you're attached to so you care more, I guess.
I thought it was funny when the sword kind of like apologized, like I'm not used to talking to kids.
He's like,
Right? Yeah.
It just goes in on her. It goes ham. He's just like, hey, look, I do this and this and this, and right now there are thousands of warriors using me right now, cutting off arms and heads. Like he just goes in, like he's like, I know you're a little kid, but you're getting broke off today.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it just told her the truth, and it was cool to hear that though as a reader, like to get an idea because. In the very first, like in the first issue or two, they paint this picture of like how this is every sword, and you're like, okay, yeah. And I think in the story of it and them breaking it down to you, you kind of gloss over that fact. But then when they really break it down like this, you're like, holy shit! In multiple dimensions, all over the world, everywhere, all over other dimensions, whatever.
Yeah.
There's somebody using the sword right now, and he can feel all of these because he is every sword.
Yeah.
I think he actually it makes a point to say like it doesn't have a gender too, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Like it just like
I'm not a she.
because you would assume it's a sword, just a weapon.
Right.
It has like you
It's
would
just
think
an
it would
it.
be a guy. Like just I don't know.
Yeah.
'Cause it has this aggressive sort of feeling to it.
Right.
So your mind automatically jumps to guy.
I like that.
The part where that really hit home for me was when all the knives start.
Oh yeah,
flying
like it's
everywhere.
actually even able to control the blades.
Yeah.
That's
Then
kinda
I was
cool.
like, holy
I am
shit,
every
this
blade,
is awesome.
literally every
Yeah.
blade. I'm like, oh, that even includes kitchen knives.
Yeah, or
Like,
like clippers from the farm, like there's or just like a hook, just every little
Dude, there's nothing
sharpened piece of
scarier than
metal.
like an old farm barn at night, right? Like
yeah.
It's not. Yeah,
That's why there are a lot of horror films that take place.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right?
Yeah, no. Actually, we have another horror film in the work. My wife and I'd like to make short horror films, and we're trying to. we've taken a break from it, but we're gonna get back to it soon. And her parents live out in Guthrie and have this big
place.
house out in the middle of nowhere. It's like the perfect place to shoot a horror flick. So we're gonna shoot a slasher flick out there.
Nice.
Yeah, we did our first one. It was. Did any of you watch it? I posted it on Facebook.
I don't think I've seen it. No.
That was on Facebook.
Yeah, it was
check it
about.
out.
It was like a 5-minute horror film, black and white horror flick. I played the serial killer, and Josh was the victim. But it was about a serial killer in a Donald Trump mask who wore a Donald Trump mask.
Oh
It
yeah,
was-
because there's the whole. I don't know.
Well,
Do you
He
guys
was-
follow like the Snoop thing?
No, I don't know what that is.
In one of Snoop's videos, he has like a clown in a Donald Trump mask, right?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Something like
Or
that.
or a clown who I don't know shoots somebody with a Donald Trump mask on, something like that. I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
Anyway, just reminded
in
me
our
of that.
movie, like this guy's like standing on the road with a Donald Trump mask, holding a sign that says "Make America Great Again," and then like he ends up following like the main guy back to his house and killing him or whatever. But,
I
yeah.
can see something like that popping up after he's done with his tenure of being president. There's like somebody making something in that vein,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't think it would fly right now. Though, like they'd probably shut that down or try to.
I guess, man. We live in America. You can't shut down freedom of speech.
Unless
at
you're
the
North
ads.
Korea,
Yeah.
shut down that movie.
Hopefully, we're not headed that direction.
Straight to DVD.
Yeah.
I was just scrolling through the ads, and in the back, there's a T-shirt. It's got the sword on it, and it says "Come and take it."
Nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, that's what's up. I didn't.
Oh hell
notice
yeah,
that.
man.
That's awesome.
Out of the four of us, who's gonna be the first one to order that?
Nakata
Dude, that actually is really freaking
Dex
cool.
is like, I'm ordering right
I'm on a
now.
computer right now.
I
So
love.
it's
I love
Depends on
that.
how much it costs.
Nakatamiinc.com. NAKATOMIINC.com/God Country. That's where you buy that shirt. It's a kick-ass shirt, man. I
Yeah, it
want
is.
that.
I dig it.
Yeah. So we got 15 minutes left. So let's talk about Chew, Volume 1.
I
This
love
was
this
requested.
book.
This is requested by Carl Hamlin, by the way. So thanks for the call
yeah,
out
thanks.
here. I
Thanks,
think
man.
two
Yeah.
of us ended up buying it because it was just. It's from 2006. So like the people at
Oh.
Image, I didn't even ask
It was
for.
cheaper.
Are they always like? Are they like what? Like when you ask them for these books?
They're
What's in
generally
the-
really cool about it because, I mean, our review copies generally only go back like 3 years that I can go on and grab. So like I'll ask for one and they'll send it to me. They're really nice about it. But something that literally is 11 years old, I didn't even want to ask for
Yeah.
because I don't know if they even have it. And it's like, whatever, I'll pay $7 for it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, this is basically this story is about a guy who can if he tastes something, he can see everything that thing that he tasted has
Yeah.
been through. So if
He's like a psychic through food.
yeah,
Right.
yep. So if he
Perfect.
tastes like a piece of chicken, he sees that chicken's life, pretty much the whole span of its life. So as a result of this, he doesn't like to eat very much because everything has been through something terrible.
Yeah.
And this guy's also a cop. And one day a serial killer gets away from him and, kills himself. And he wants to know where the serial killer's villains are. So he decides to eat this dude's face.
Yeah. Like
And that spawns
crazy.
off into
takes
sort of him.
takes a bite.
Yeah.
So he's is it sebopathic?
Sebopathic,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah
Is that a
something like
real
that.
thing?
I know. I kind of was like, I want to like if there's like a word for it. You know what I mean? Though, like there's a word for psychic or like.
Well,
Yeah.
they
Like-
in the book they say it's Sebopath.
Yeah.
And when you look
I-
up Sebopath, it references the comics. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
So
going to
it's a
say
made-up
this
thing
is
that they made up.
impossible. So
It's just funny though how they say like meet Tony Chu. Tony Chu is almost always hungry and almost never eats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's why, and then they tell you like the whole thing you just explained. No.
I really love this book though, man.
It was
it's-
really good.
It's so good. And is it still ongoing? Do we know?
No, it just ended recently.
I like the art too.
I had asked.
a
I had,
lot.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was buying it as it was going, and so I asked him about it.
There-
And
There are times I love the art, and there are times I don't like the art as much. But I'd be really,
I was going to ask you about that.
I'd be really interested to see like maybe if it developed because it's been going on for 10, 11 years.
there are 12 volumes.
So I'd be
Oh,
interested.
really?
60 issues, 12 volumes. Yeah.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
So I'd be interested to see, maybe if the art got better because it's already. It starts really. It's great art. It's just there.
Yeah.
It looks a little unrefined at times.
Yeah, and actually, did any of you guys read Gemini? That's
No.
that John
Nope.
Somariva book. So, John Somariva, he's the one who's doing that IDW Batman TMNT mashup.
Oh yeah.
And he's got a very animated style. And this is very reminiscent of the art in Gemini. I think that was one of his first books. It's got that same animated feel. But like you said, at times it's pretty raw. But it's just very reminiscent of that, or like Scotty Young or something like that, which I'm really into.
And this is drawn by Rob
Gilroy?
Gilroy, yep, and John Layman is the writer. So
and lettered. He wrote and lettered it.
Okay,
that's cool.
Interesting. Yeah.
I like that.
I like the character development a lot.
Yeah.
As far as the characters, they're very distinct, very like, you know, you're not going to mistake anybody for the wrong person.
Yeah.
Well, they kind of lay it.
I mean?
I love the way they kind of just lay it out for you. Like, this is John. He's from here, and he likes to do this. And this is what's pertinent to the story.
It seems very like comedy TV show, like
or like kind of like Fight Club. Don't they do that?
yeah,
That?
kind of like that. Yeah.
You know what movie does that really well? Did you guys ever watch the last Rocky movie with where the son takes over?
I hadn't seen that. No.
What's it called?
Rocky 7.
the newest one.
It's, where the African American guy takes over. It's Apollo Creed's son.
It's Apollo Creed's son. Yeah,
Creed.
It's called
Thank you.
Creed,
It's called
yeah.
Creed. They did a
it's
great
called
job in that
Creed.
movie. If you haven't seen it and you like boxing, you like those kind of movies, really good movie. But it's awesome because in that movie it does something like this where he'll be like, you know, in the gym going to something, then they'll be like, oh yeah, that's so and so. He's like the number 3 boxer in the world. Then they'll show him kind of like look over and it freezes, and then it shows like all his stats. It's like, you know, 13-0, blah blah blah, 2 knockouts, and it shows all this stuff. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. It overlays it, and then it goes again. And
There's some like British movies who do that too. Like
Snatch was
love
like
that.
that.
Snatch.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that kind of stuff.
It's good when that works. One movie where that didn't work in was Suicide Squad. I felt like it was like I thought that was a really lazy way for them to introduce the characters in that movie. But in a boxing movie where you're showing stats and stuff, that makes
Kinda
more
cool.
sense.
Yeah,
I guess.
their nickname and stuff. So it's kind
Well,
of that reminded me of this. In this book.
In Snatch, it kind of made sense because like it's being narrated by can't think of the character's name, I guess, but like he's kind of taking you through the underworld of London.
Yeah.
And so it's like it almost feels like he is telling a story. Like and so it worked well with that.
Yeah,
And they did a really cool like effect where like the background faded out and went kind of.
Were they the first ones to kind of do that? Because
I
like
don't know.
I've seen it a
I
few
wanna say
times.
so.
Well, like
Kinda
I feel like the feeling of that movie, like the newer Oceans movies, kind of had that same feeling.
Yep.
And
I guess
they
they did.
freeze
Yeah.
it real quick.
Yep.
yeah,
Like
and so
Info,
I feel like it
unfreeze
kind of
it.
it's become a style. I don't know if that was the first one that did it or not.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, because that is kind of an older film. But anyway, this comic. Chew.
Yeah. No, it definitely has that feel to it.
Yeah.
though. You're right on with that.
Another thing that's worth mentioning is this comic exists in a dystopian society where meat has been outlawed.
Chicken.
Just
Chicken. I'm
The
sorry,
avian
chicken.
flu.
Chicken has been outlawed because of the avian flu, and
Which
that's what has air
is or
quotes
is not
around it.
real.
Yeah. Yeah, so it may not be real.
Sorry.
You're good.
I like stealing your thunder.
Yeah, you're good. You're good.
The crackle.
So, what do you guys think about that aspect of the story, the dystopian sort of world?
It was a nice background. I mean, because it gives the whole major plot hinges on that whole issue with the chicken.
It threw me off in the beginning at first because when I first started reading, they didn't explain it right away, and I was like, "Why the fuck are they staking out people that are buying chicken?" Like the guy is clutching like a bag full of groceries, and they're like,
And he's like, we got to get him.
"We gotta get him." I was like, "Why does it matter?"
This dude's eating
Right.
some chicken. Like,
Yeah.
what?
So I just kept on going, and I didn't like think about it too much. And
Yeah.
then eventually, it revealed, "Oh, they've outlawed
Dude,
this.
if they literally outlawed chicken though in the real life, like
chicken
it
breasts,
would never
chicken
happen.
everything."
Well, does that also outlaw eggs?
That's a great question.
See,
Which came first?
does that turn? But does that tie into the story though? Because
I had to. I'm sorry. That was such a shitty
That sold it
joke.
to me like that. But does that tie into the story though? Because like remember when the French guys with like they look like mimes pop up later in the story?
Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
those
Taking
were
as
cool.
hostages?
Yeah,
Their name literally was EGG.
yeah, and
it was an acronym
yeah.
for
Oh,
something
yeah.
else.
I
They
didn't
were
even
egg.
think about that.
Yeah.
So I was looking at that. I was like, are they trying to like play
Yeah,
on the whole
totally.
chicken thing with
They-
the egg?
well,
and
probably,
stuff? You know,
yeah.
it's an acronym, but I didn't get to see what the EGG stood for. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I don't
So-
remember what they said.
Andrew, did this book bother you at all?
I really thought it was going to. Like when I think in the first couple pages he's like on a finger or something. like,
Yeah.
And I was like, son of a bitch! Like this is
Yeah,
gonna be
it
some
is-
cannibal.
when he ate the finger.
Yeah,
But he doesn't like it.
He doesn't like it. Okay, so it definitely made me not want to eat food like ever. But
Right, yeah.
I actually
Good beet
though
salad.
I thought it was good beet salad. So I really like the artwork. I'm pretty sure I follow this artist on Instagram or Twitter somewhere because I'd seen it before. Very familiar. And I thought there was good acting in it, good storytelling, and it was
When you read these, do the pictures move and voices?
Sometimes, yes.
Are you, actually, I did hear voices for these characters.
No, I totally do voices in my head.
The one that stands out the most for me was the big guy, Savoy.
Savoy.
I heard
I
him.
could hear him in a British accent.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
heard
Top
him.
of the day I heard a French accent.
I heard.
You heard French?
What's a
I
Savoy?
heard like in English.
Man,
Sorry, Ben.
I heard English.
I heard Bane from from Batman, The Dark Knight. I heard Tom Hardy's Bane voice when he
Like,
talked. Like he has a
He's
British
like,
Sean
"Eat this
Connery.
finger."
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
Yeah.
we gotta find a line that he says.
Your face lit up.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
What's
What's that dude's name?
His name
Doesn't
is.
it look like the same?
His name is
Monterey Jack.
Monty.
Monterey
It's
Jack.
Monty.
He totally reminded me of Monterey Jack.
Oh
That's
yeah, he
awesome.
does.
He
Yeah,
looks like Monty.
That's who I got every time.
And his
And
whole family, they're all named
Cheese.
after cheese. Yeah. My friend.
So you heard Bane. I heard just an Englishman.
Yeah.
and you heard a French.
I heard a French. Well, because his hat is a French hat. His name's Savoy.
Yeah, that's
I
what
guess you probably be like the most on point.
So
on this
I'm
one.
the right one. All right, I win.
But he looked exactly like
Go home
Monterey
now.
Jack, right?
He does look. Now that you
Yeah,
say
he
that,
does-
I
he
can't
does look
unsee
like
it.
that.
Do you
Yeah.
still,
Yeah.
just real quick.
When are they going to bring back the
I
rescue?
was gonna say
Rangers?
just real quick. Do you still remember the whole the Chippendale Rescue Ranger song?
Chippendale.
That's the hook. You know the
Rescue
song.
Rangers,
Remember how it starts?
Chippendale.
Like sometimes some crimes go
I don't
open
remember that.
through the cracks. So we these two gumshoes are
going.
picking up the slack. There's no case too big, no case too
Oh
small.
yeah, that's
When
it.
you need help, just call.
Chippendale.
Yeah.
You guys are
Sing along.
you guys are dating the shit out of yourselves.
Hey,
right now.
there's
Just
nothing
saying.
wong with
Yeah,
that.
I have no idea what
Is this
the
on-
deal with
Dude,
you
I
You
love-
don't know what this
I
is?
love all
Yeah.
those,
Oh my
like
gosh.
Chippendale, like
Oh,
DuckTales. I know the song. of
DuckTales
DuckTales
is so great.
I
What
know
about
all those still.
Nightwing?
I
Remember
know that one
Nightwing?
still too. I know.
What
all
about
those.
the one with
Nightwing?
Baloo and Kit Cloud Kicker?
Oh, in
Darkwing
Launchpad.
Duck, you mean?
Darkwing Duck. That's what I was.
Oh,
trying to
Darkwing
say.
Duck.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
DuckTales. No, not
DuckTales. It was DuckTales. Yeah.
DuckTales. Woo! Yeah, yeah.
No,
Gummy
I
bears,
think
all
we're
that stuff.
Oh,
Sorry.
that sounds a lot like the Chippendales one.
No, it's really
all in
similar.
the same
It's
Disney
really
thing.
similar.
Yeah.
They're bringing
Same-
that back, by the way.
Which
one?
DuckTales.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Actually,
And it's going to be voiced by Tennant. It's doing Scrooge McDuck.
Okay, bringing up David Tennant doing Scrooge McDuck. There is apparently it's been in the works for like 3 to 5 years ish, according to my friend. But Chew is supposed to become a movie, and I think it's supposed to be animated. And David Tennant is
Really?
Savoy.
Ah,
So
sweet.
actually, the British accent
it
was
all
probably
comes
correct.
back around. So
And
I
then,
win. Andrew's losing.
and then
his
Tony
shit.
Chu from this is being voiced by Stephen Ewan
Okay.
from Walking Dead.
Oh, really?
Nice, dude. I'm looking
But
for that. Good call.
well, but like I said, my friend told me that it's been in the works for like 3 to 5 years.
I'll
so.
wait longer.
This
It's fine.
this would be a difficult
Wait, this
movie to sell. I feel like,
Yeah.
because I don't know how many
Well,
people
and
want
it
to
said
watch this.
it said
The
voice.
cannibalism.
Like on IMDb, it says
But
voice.
I
So
could
that means
see
it's gonna
this-
be animated.
I could see this being like a comedy almost, because there's some like really
like
funny
a
parts,
TV show.
Like some
or
Adult
like
Swim.
kind of like how
Is that what you said?
Adult Swim.
Oh, I thought you said Blossom.
kind of
Yeah,
like
Blossom. I
Shaun
love-
of the Dead or something,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah.
like there's some like really gory like like he eats a dog in this, like a
Not
petrified
the whole
dog.
dog.
He just bites
But
it.
like
just bites it.
I could see
Yeah.
you doing that really really funny, where you just kind of like look at this, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I don't know that
Yeah.
I think all that like lightened it up so
Whoa.
much where it's not like a cannibal story.
And like at the beginning, when his partner gets like big
axe to the
well, a
face.
big knife just to the side of the head.
Yeah, cleaver. Right. In
Yeah,
the side,
cleaver.
Right in the temple.
Yeah.
That's when I knew this was not realistic.
yeah.
He's like, no, man, just go get him. He's like talking to himself. I was like, dude, you'd be done.
Well, and then you see, and he visits him in the hospital later, and his whole face is just wrapped.
That was
up.
really funny. No, and he's actually
the
talking to
wrong
the
guy.
wrong guy.
He
yeah.
looked like he got
that was
third-degree
great.
burns on like 80% of his body. It was just
Yeah.
like a cleaver to the side of the head.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So really quick, because we're just about out of time. Star ratings on this one.
I give it a 9.
Nice.
I say probably 9.5.
Dang.
Nice.
I'm probably at like a 7.5 because I feel like there is still some room for development.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm at 9. I think there was some art development issues, but as a comic book,
Like, what's wrong with the art? Did we touch on that?
I just feel like there's some times when maybe it just doesn't look as developed. Like there's some line work that maybe is a little bit off, or maybe some expressions that are a little bit off. But that's such a minor gripe for
I know,
for,
because-
for it's almost even hard to say because the artwork's so good, and I think I'm not really here to critique their art. I think that it translated really good into the comic book medium, and they told a story really well. So I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I
know.
It's really hard to even complain about.
Yeah, there was just like a couple places where like scale was like where Savoy looked like he was like 30 feet tall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think that was the point, though.
Well, like,
And I think
to
it
make
was
more
too.
imposing in that scene. Probably,
I think it was too. I just think there was a little too much. But I'd rather have somebody go too far than not far enough. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
mean-
agree.
and with this style, I feel like you kind of have that.
You can
wiggle
get
room.
yeah.
Yep. So, all right, cool. Definitely read it though, because it's a really good book. So, that being said, if you want to find us anywhere, we are on the internet at indiecomic.ninja or on all forms of social media at Indie Comic Ninja. If you want to find me, I am on Twitter at IndieComicBen. Where can we find you, Andrew?
I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Andrew Southern, and my website is studiosouthern.com.
Mondo?
Instagram and Twitter at Nerdy Ramondo. Otherwise, you want a game or just friend me on Xbox Live or PlayStation Network, it's Dirty Dimes.
And he also runs a podcast called Glitch Therapy. It's about video games.
Check
So
it
if you
out.
want to listen to that, it's a really entertaining one,
Tune
too. Dex, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter as Indie Comic Dex.
Awesome. And with that, I think we are done right on time. Have a good week, everyone.
Bye.
Later.
Latest.